Hi class, my name is Bridget Hurtado and today's presentation is going to be on the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA for short. We know within the educational system there is a plethora of acronyms. Aside from FERPA, we do have another act that goes hand in hand, which is called HIPAA for short, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. These two acronyms and acts are in which all educators and parents must contend to. However, FERPA provides protection of students' educational records and is specific to educational institutions that receive federal funds. So that's the key word, federal funds. Some health records actually from the school nurse, such as school affiliated programs, are answerable to FERPA regulations as well. So what is FERPA? So the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act prohibits a school from disclosing personally identifiable information from a student's educational records without the consent of a parent or eligible student, unless it is an exemption to FERPA's general consent rules, which on the website it does say certain rules that apply otherwise as stated. So it was originally a protection for parents to access student records in K through 12 education. It is now also in post-secondary. It has been amended 11 times, so it has changed frequently. The most recent change was in December 2011. The act does have two separate parts to it. The first is that it gives the student the right to inspect and review their own education records, request corrections, and halt the release of any personally identifiable information, and they can obtain a copy of the institution's policy to whatever their FERPA regulations are. Second, it prohibits the educational institutions from disclosing any of their educational records of the student without a written consent from the student, or if the student is a minor, then the parent as well. If schools fail or institutions fail to comply with the FERPA, they do risk losing all federal funding. And again, institutions that receive federal funding can go from elementary school, secondary, and post-secondary as well. So who enforces FERPA? So the department's Family Policy Compliance Office, they are the ones that administer the FERPA, and they are available to respond to any questions school officials may have about FERPA. So later on the presentation, I will give all those resources from email to documents to phone numbers. So what happens if FERPA is violated? So if an individual's FERPA rights have been violated, they can go ahead and file a complaint with the Department of Education's Family Policy Compliance Office. So complaints must be filed within 180 days of the alleged violation. Then after the FPCO receives a complaint, it will then notify the student or the parent and the school in writing if it initiates an investigation of the complaint or whenever the complaint is going on. If that violation is valid, the Secretary of the Department of Education may withhold payments to the school under the applicable federal program. So again, this is a case-by-case and cease-to-desist order. There's a lot of investigation that goes into terminating the school's eligibility for federal funding. And again, federal funding is everything, you know, so as future educators or clinicians, it is really important to be well versed in specific rights and privacy acts, as well as the rest of the team that we are working with at the schools. So who is protected under FERPA? Again, FERPA plays a slightly different role based on the institution and based on the age and the enrollment. So FERPA extends certain privacy rights to parents with regard to their child's educational records. So these rights transfer to the student when he or she reaches the age of 18, thus becoming a student eligible for their own rights under FERPA. However, if we have a high school student attending college classes at a college campus, then FERPA plays different roles with their with their high school and with their post-secondary and college. And again, it does specify that parents have the right to inspect their children's educational records if under 18. A school must accommodate any inspection request within 45 days of receipts. So parents, let's go ahead and define parent, because under parent, under FERPA, a parent means or includes a natural parent, guardian, or individual acting as a parent in the absence of a parent or guardian. So there is or can be additional cases of divorce or separation of a student's parents. So schools are still required to give full rights under FERPA to either parent unless there is a legal divorce, separation, or custody. But again, even if the parents are separated with no evidence in context, then both parents are still able to receive that information. So what is directory information? Again, there is two types of distinct information that go into the FERPA and non-FERPA category. So the difference that we're looking at is directory information and educational records. Educational records, we've mentioned it a couple times already when disclosing. Again, if a student is under 18, parent accessibility is for the student unless they are enrolled in a community college. So directory information will be disclosed without the student or parent's consent. So this information, such as a student's name, address, telephone number, major of study, dates of attendance, these can be distributed without that consent form. Schools do not have to release this information, but if they do, they must give public notice of the categories, classifying it as directory information. Next, we're moving on to education records. So, on the other hand, education records include, it can be immunization records, any services under the Individuals with Disabilities Educational Act, IDEA, or accommodations with the 504s. These are considered educational records. And under FERPA, these are records that are directly related to a student and maintained by an educational agency or institution. And these records are the ones that need consent and that protocol that follow FERPA. And these records can be either typed, computer generated, videotaped, audio taped, filmed, and even emailed. What happens in case of an emergency or a safety? In some situations, a school may determine that it is necessary to disclose non-directory information to appropriate parties in order to address a disaster or other health or safety emergency. Again, if these are a case-by-case scenario of what is an emergency or what connotates under this category, and under FERPA regulations on their website, you can check that out, and they'll be able to address the specific situation. So here are the FERPA resources. So under this FERPA, under the Family Policy Compliance Office, that is where they can provide further information. So we have their email at ferpa@ed.gov. Or you can even give them a call, 1-800-USA-LEARN. These are additional informations and additional web pages, and where it gives further information and guidance to different scenarios and what to do and what not to do. These guys, I think, are very important, especially as educators and future clinicians, because we are going to be addressing specific situations when releasing these important documents. So it is very important for us to be well versed in the different information on this FERPA Act or the compliances. And last, we have our references. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.